Hello and welcome to March 2026 San Luis Obispo County Real Estate Market Report and Update. Oh my gosh, can't believe it. We're in March. Spring is here. We just finished February with temperatures in the 80s here on the Central Coast. After some great rains. Boy, do we have it tough. So let's jump into it. I got a lot of fun things to share. And sometimes I have so much to share and I have to kind of whittle it down. That's why I sometimes talk so fast. So hang with me on this because I think it'll be fun to listen to. So first, we'll talk about what's happening in the market statistics. Secondly, I want to compare where we're sitting this year at this time versus last year beyond the market statistics. And then lastly, I want to take a little jump back in history because after doing this for 35 years, I've learned a few things. So just getting into the meat and the activity in the marketplace, month over month, as we look back at February, our inventory is up about 10%. So more homes for sale, which is a good sign and healthy for the market. If we look at a year ago, we're basically flat. Okay. So this time last year, we had about the same number of homes for sale. As we look at pendings, we're up year over year, but flat month over month. Okay, so pendings and closed sales, but we're up in terms of pendings about 9% this February that just finished versus last. Closings, though, down about 21%. All right, the interesting thing too, people, I don't talk about this as much, but our average price was up about 3.8%. And I would probably say that's most of the activity that happened lately in the marketplace. So the other thing that's two big factors. One, our days on the market are up about 20% from a year ago. And if you didn't notice, I'm wearing glasses, so it's arrived that time. So I'm checking my notes on this. But what I've noticed is our interest rates are now in the fives. 30-year mortgage rates are in the fives, where a year ago at this time, they were 6.6, 6.75, depending on the loan and the time. So that's a pretty healthy reduction and kind of a number that a lot of people were excited that we'd get to. So we'll see what happens if that lasts. So what does all this mean? Well, I would say this year versus last year is more of a normal market. Okay. The big questions coming up are what's going to happen with inflation, what's going to happen with employment, which affects what we look at mortgage rates. So that's our market snapshot. It's a little bit more of a predictable market and something we're very accustomed to. So as I look at this time last year, we had a rapid change in the marketplace. When I was meeting with a seller, I could say, okay, in the last 3 months, these homes sold for this price, and we expect that this year. And then we went to market and found, oh my goodness, okay, we're not getting the response. Buyers were very nervous. Now let's go back. What was happening last February, March last year? Tariff things going on, stock markets, crashing. The world isn't any more stable, but it just seems like it in the real estate market. So I would say we're on much better footing at this time this year than we were last year in terms of being able to purchase and sell real estate. Okay, there's two sides of that coin, but I would say it's a more predictable market, more normal and more stable, something we kind of like. Okay, so as we look at this, I find that having done this, I'm going to be my 35th year. That's why these glasses are on my face. That you can't learn enough, and you forget a lot of things that you have learned. So, the little story: a client, I was looking for something for some orthotics. I found one rep, and I recognized the gentleman's name because his wife was the trustee for a home I sold, I thought 20 years ago. So I looked it up and I went, oh yeah, I looked up the property. It was on Vista, Brisa, which is a street in San Luis Obispo along Laguna Lake. Bigger house, bigger lot, 2,300 square feet on the home. Lot was about 19,000 square feet, had a view of the lake. And when I pulled up the address though, 3 sales came up because I just typed in the address and there was 3 different sales. So, okay, it's transacted 3 times since I helped her. So what happened when I sold it? So look at this, March of 2007, that home sold for $829,000. It was on the market 50 days. Okay. The next buyer sold it in 2014. Same exact house, some upgrading, 2014. Now, what happened between 2007 and 2014, that 7 years? Well, 2008, 9, 10, huge recession. So it sold for virtually, $844,000. So 2007, 829. 2014, 844 for that same house cleaned up. And then 2016, which is an amazing year. I remember it well. I mean, we were just selling houses like crazy. 875. So in the about 9 years, it went up from 829 to 875. What is that? About $40,000, about 5%. Okay, fast forward to today. We haven't had any sales there, but we had one last year for almost the same house on Vista, lakefront, 17,000 square foot lot, just under 2,300 square feet. That house sold for $1.6 million a year ago. So property was stable for 9 years. And then guess what? In the last 9 years, it doubled. Okay, so what does that tell you? Well, one, history is a very interesting thing to look at. Two, prices can be stable for a while. Three, I think about, oh my gosh, what if I would have bought that house in 2007 before the big financial crisis? My house probably would have went down. If I would have hung in there for a while, it would have broke even. And 7 years later, I would have paid down my mortgage. I would have gotten tax deductions on my housing expense. All these things happen. Was it a big boon? No. Was it a loss? Probably not. And then if I just hold on long enough, things can just skyrocket. So for me, it was just fascinating to see, look at how stable, or not stable, but not much movement in prices, some down, some up. But on average, if you hang in there, it went up 5% in 7 years, and then it doubled. Okay. So probably a lesson, just like any investment, it's hard to time when things are going to happen, but over time, if you own something that's of value, a home, stock in a company, maybe some assets, something that are of value, over time it goes up. But interesting case. So what's the moral of the story here? Pay attention to what's happening. Okay. I'm going to drop this in because I meant to say this. Here's an interesting figure also. 2025, I've looked it up 3 times. I was told this at a conference recently. Last year in the United States, 70% of realtors sold 0 homes. Okay. And the remaining sold on average a couple. So imagine that 1.5 million realtors, 70%. So over 1 million didn't sell a single house. Okay. It was a tricky market for a lot of people last year. So that just tells me, when you're doing your research, one, when you look at prices, get some good advice. 2, if you're looking at making a move, make sure you check some credentials when you move forward. So thank you for all the great reviews. Thank you for your great feedback. Let's have a great spring market, and call us if you need anything at 805-781-3750. Thanks, and have a great day.